Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Andy's Little Homestead. We've got a fun project for today. I've been looking forward to it for a while. We're going to mount the snowplow, and we're going to mount it on this beautiful old truck right here. Her name's Stacy. She's a 1980 GMC 3500. It's just got basically a bone stock 350 in it with the 4-speed Muncie. So it's a very good transmission, and that's something that's going to be important for what we're doing. Plowing snow is going to put a lot of stress on it, so I'd rather have a bulletproof manual transmission than basically any automatic. As you can see, Forky loves the interior. If you have a truck that's more than 30 years old, I'm pretty sure they issue you a poncho seat cover at the DMV. I picked up this old girl back in North Carolina for $4,000. Allegedly had 37,000 original miles on it. Everything really kind of checked out when I looked at it. Obviously the odometer only goes to 100,000, but you can verify that by checking wear on different things. The steering wheel, the covers on the pedals, things like that. Stuff that would normally get worn out. There wasn't even a dent underneath the gas pedal, so I'm pretty confident that was actually it, and it runs like it had 37,000 miles on it. Believe it or not, this old girl actually hauled all of my stuff up here. I had about 12,000 pounds behind it. Went 1,000 miles through the mountains to get here. Now, what kind of jackass would take a 40-year-old truck that he bought for $4,000, stick his whole life behind it, and drag it 1,000 miles across the country to frozen wasteland in northern Michigan? Well, that'd be the same kind of jackass who does what I'm about to do. Forgot to mention one thing. This old girl, 2-wheel drive. Now, I know you think I'm probably insane, and there is definitely some evidence to support that, but there was half of a plan here. Starting with, I'm broke. I don't have enough money for another plow truck. I got a long driveway I got to get out of. I'm working a few days a week at this point, and I got to make some money. After extensive research online, this is a conclusion that I came to. No, it's not ideal, but 2-wheel drive trucks have existed in cold places for a very long time. There's things that you can do to make it work. And if it doesn't work, there's things you can do to make sure it gets out. Since I will get stuck, I mounted a winch. Pretty simple setup. I've got 2 pieces of angle iron on the bottom side of the bed that stretch the whole distance, so it's very securely attached. I've already tested it out. Ran the wires over to here, and I've got my battery mounted inside here. This wire right here goes back to right there. When you've got a 7-pin trailer connection, one of those wires, and I'll throw the diagram up, actually is just constant 12 volt. It's made for charging batteries for auxiliary purposes. This is a battery for auxiliary purpose. This is a battery for auxiliary purposes. So yeah, we hooked it up and it's on a constant trickle charge, so it stays charged. Battery stays out of the weather, which will be good to go. In addition to that, the other thing that helps me out is this bed is really heavy. The reason that 4-wheel drive is helpful is because of weight and traction. Weight over the front tires and provides traction. So I'm just going to add a whole bunch of weight to the back. I've got another IBC tote just like this one. We're going to take it, we're going to cut it in half, and that's going to give us about 20 cubic feet. That 20 cubic feet is going to be filled with sand. Sand weighs 100 pounds per cubic foot. Ergo, 2,000 pounds over the rear axle into the bed. It'll work or it won't. But my other option is to be stuck on my land for the next 5 months. I'm sure I can make it work, but I don't want to. So the plow that I picked up is actually going to be a good fit for this. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to mount them. More modern ones are very vehicle specific. This, not so much, but it came off of a 65 Chevy. Conveniently enough, the frame rails on this are the exact same width apart, so it should be a pretty close fit with some minor modifications. The other thing I like about this setup is that there are no electronics whatsoever. One of the reasons I like the truck too. I mounted the control the other day, pardon my floorboard. It's got 2 cables and lever controls them. Down, up, twist, twist. Down and up is one cable, twist and twist is the other cable. The hydraulic pump doesn't have an electric motor to power it. It comes off of a belt on the engine. Conveniently enough, it would land in the spot where the AC compressor would be if my truck had air conditioning. But it don't. There's our pump. There's our reservoir tank. This is our control for the side-to-side movement of the plow and the control to run it up and down. Cables hook right up, no electronics. That piston goes up and down. A chain hooks in here and down to where the hell is it? Somewhere around here. And then those pistons control the angle. If you think I'm a complete idiot for putting a plow on a two-wheel drive truck, you might be right. You're free to leave it in the comments. I don't really care. The thing that I like is that even though I don't have four-wheel drive, I have everything else going for me. That truck is bulletproof. It's not powerful, but it is geared low. The transmission has a long track record of working and not breaking. You can basically feed pebbles into it and yeah, gear oil, whatever, that's fine, it'll work. It's got good solid axles. It's got very, very stiff springs. It's gonna do what I need it to do. And if it doesn't, I gave myself a way to get out. This isn't even the fourth most reckless thing I've ever done. So I want the plow mount to go as far over these frame rails as possible. I want to keep the weight as close to the truck side as I can, because I don't want to drag down the front end too much. The biggest problem that I have here is these body mounts. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a grinder, we're going to take these rivets off, and then we're going to replace it with a bolt that's going to go through here, through the plow mount itself, which is going to slide right here, which is going to slide right here, and then that's going to bolt back on to keep everything nice and square. Got all the rivets ground down, and now we're going to unbolt the body mount. Now we're going to drive this punch, or cold chisel rather, in between here, give it a little persuasion with the hammer, break it loose. And she's out. Predictably, the front clip dropped a little bit when we did that, so we're going to shove a piece of wood in there to keep our height where it needs to be while we do the rest of this. Probably should have done it before pulling the body mount, but here we are. So I put that one in there and then put that one in on the other side, and we're going to cut it now. Well, the weather outside is frightful, but the mother fire is so nice. Since we've no place to grow, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Because we want the rails of the mount to slide in as far as humanly possible, we're going to go ahead and remove this little bracing, or at least pull it out of the way, and this little wing for holding the bumper on. This one's going to stay off. This one's going to go right back in place, and we'll drill a hole through so that it's also braced to that main cross member up front. Y'all, I ain't an engineer, and I'm sure that there's a proper by the book way of doing this, but this will probably work. So now we've got plenty of clear frame rail. Gonna slide it right in. Well, hopefully. So I was hoping that I'd be able to actually slide the frame rails all the way underneath there. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen, but we've got a good 8 or 9 inches of overlap. We're gonna be putting grade 8 bolts through both there and the bottom. As you can see, it's flat on the bottom of the frame rail there. It just didn't quite work with the setup that I got, and that's no big deal. When I drill this out, as much as I love Harbor Freight, I went with the high dollar drill bit. This is a $20 Milwaukee titanium bit. It's supposed to work pretty well, and we're going to use a little bit of cutting oil while we do it. And by cutting oil, I mean automatic transmission fluid, because the last time I used this old school little guy was to rebuild my transmission on my old F-250.
Ew, what's that red stuff?
So now I've got 4 bolts in here. I've got one there, and then going through the bottom side. We're gonna run one more through, but we're gonna run it through with the body mount. That way we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So we've got the body mounts on and everything's bolted up. I manually lifted it up so that I could pull it out away from my lifting tree right there. It ended up squatting the front of the truck probably 3 inches or so. It's a lot of weight. It's an old plow and it's pretty heavy steel. But we're gonna make up for a lot of that with the weight in the back. For now, we're gonna pull the plow off of it and just leave the mount. It'll make it easier for hooking up all the hydraulics and stuff like that. I'm gonna end up doing it in a second video. Couple final notes. Watch where the drill is. When it gets all the way through the metal, sometimes it'll spin real fast and punch you in the mouth. Doesn't feel too good. But the Milwaukee drill bit did good. Also, don't let the 4-year-old hold the camera. I had to delete a lot. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. I love y'all and God bless.